Best of R / Choosing Beggars episode 17. Intro. I am a developer. I used to try and fix PCs and other stuff for a bit of extra cash when I went to college. The rate was cheap compared to shops. 1/5 or 1/4 of what I make now. Who is who? CB, a person that works at the same company, so I never spoke to her. I just know we enter through the same reception. ME, a random person that wrote this post you are reading. Martin, fake name of a colleague I actually work with. Or is it? Conversation. CB, hello, I got recommendation for you, that you are really skilled with PCs. Me, hello, well no, I just know something here and there. CB, well Martin said you will fix my PC. Me, fixing PCs used to be a small thing I did in college, I don't do it anymore. CB, but Martin promised you would take a look. I got to talk to Martin, who apologized and just asked me to go with it. A gig for old time's sake or some BS. Me, fine, do you have it on you? CB, I will bring it tomorrow. Here is a list of things I need. First, I want to back up my files, remove bad stuff from it, new SSD, they say it will be faster then and if you could do anything else to make it faster. Me, okay, that's almost a day's work. Let's make it 20 euros. I think it will be around 70 euros for the SSD. I still need to know what exactly you need, but that should be fine. Here is URL for one. Then, where do you want me to back it to? CB, wait what? Why should I pay you? And I found SSD for half that, so I am ordering one of those. You can take care of where to back it up. Me, didn't Martin tell you it was my job and I will be spending my time on it? Almost a full workday. I asked for 20 euros just to cover a few things of that day. And don't order the SSD, it might be a bad fit for your PC. CB, but we are colleagues. Remember, never talked with her. Me, yes. Hence even taking the gig and the 20 euro for all of it. 20 doesn't even cover my daily expenses. CB, you have work for that. I know you work with Martin in a team so you make good money. You can do my PC on the weekend. Now, I am giving everyone a silent treatment. I think I will go with the strategy of pretending this never happened. Thank you. Next. Well, this fine CB example has just blown up with our friends over the weekend. My husband's former best friend married several years ago and it's safe to say their relationship is very toxic. She is very selfish and manipulative, so although we are still friends, he has no close friends anymore and can't go to anywhere or see anyone without her. Anyway, ever since we've known her she has been telling everyone about her parents' lovely home in a very pricey part of town overlooking the river. She grew up there with her brother and moved out at 22. She's in her 30s now, but is always there visiting her parents with her kids. The parents aren't very well. Both have health problems and are in their 60s 70s. A few months ago we had dinner at their place and they showed us some blueprints for a renovation they were planning on her parents' house. I thought it was odd, but assumed they were helping her parents out as they wouldn't have a clue how to plan a reno. Fast forward to this weekend and our friend turns up to our place saying they'd had a massive fight because her parents had announced to the family that they were selling up and moving to a property in the country to focus on their health. They offered each of their children a $30K cash gift from the sale of the house. This was at a family dinner and instead of being grateful for the gift it turned into a shouting match with CB storming out. Apparently CB was absolutely furious because she had spent $35K on architect plans for the renovations, which sounds fair if the parents had asked for their help. However, it turns out neither her parents or brother had any idea about the renovation plans. This was her own plans based on her assumption that when her parents died, apparently she thought that wasn't far off. She would be the sole heir of their house. She obviously didn't think her brother would be entitled to anything. In addition to this, she had already enrolled their kids into a prestigious school close by the parents' house and paid almost $5,000 in advance fees. They start school in 2 years, which is not refundable. She is now threatening to try and sue her parents to stop the sale of the house, which she claims should be a family decision, not a selfish one. LOL. Our friend had no idea about any of this. He was under the impression the parents had asked for her help and has now found out she had used some of their savings to pay the architect. Her argument is she thought they'd get it all back anyway when the house comes to them. She put a massive rant on social media which was taken down shortly after when she realized the comments weren't going her way. Man, I wish I had a screenshot. Here's hoping this is the end of this toxic relationship and we get our friend back. Thank you. Next. So my mom's job gives her a phone for free to use for work purposes, and recently, she's got a new one from her job so she could afford to give away or sell her existing one, which was an iPhone 6. My uncle, who knew this, asked her if she had a phone to give away to him since he needed a new phone and couldn't afford one. My mom offered to give him the iPhone 6 and I kid you not, he actually turns his nose up at it and goes like, only an iPhone 6? I wanted an iPhone 10. I don't want it anymore. Right, single quotation mark. Like, okay, sure. We can't even afford an iPhone 10 on our own and you expect an iPhone 10 from us. In your dreams, maybe. Thank you. Next. This is sort of reversed. So my college does buybacks. If you bought a textbook, they'll buy it back. How much you get depends on a lot of things like how many they have in stock, when it was published or what version, and the condition, etc. I looked at some sites online that would buy back the books as well, but I normally got the best price through my school. Anyway, I'm done with finals and go to sell the books I know for a fact I won't need. There is this guy there that was apparently upset about the price he could sell it at. Weird, right? Random guy, RG, cashier, C. The best I could do is $78.45. RG, I paid like $100 for this book. C. Well. Proceed to explain how it was a computer generated prices based on what was in stock and what not. RG, I should get back the $100. That's what I paid for this book. C. Well, I just explained how exactly the price is generated. I can give you a few sites that may have better offers. RG, this is a scam. C. That's not how the system works. The random guy stepped aside to talk to the assistant manager, who was also trying to finish up a transaction themselves. I come up with my books, 5, but was only able to sell 3 of them, and the total buyback comes up to about $115. Which was a lot more than I expected. The cashier asked if I want to wait until the end of the day to get cash or have a check mailed. I asked for the check but asked if I can pick it up instead. I give them my contact info and was about to leave when I got dragged into his problem. RG, how come my price was $78 while hers was like $100? C, she had more books. RG, that's not fair. At this point the manager comes out from the back to tell him to either take the price or leave. I mean, I did have more books and one of them was close to $85. But again, he was told how the price was generated. Thank you. Next. TLDR. Well-known author and politician asks me to illustrate 2 books for her. Doesn't pay me. Twice. This has fortunately been the only choosy beggar I have ever had to deal with in my 6+ years of being a fine artist. About 3 years ago I was contacted to illustrate a children's book. The author is a well-known, well-respected professional and politician in my state, and the pay was $1,200 for about 20 pages of professional illustrations. This was my first children's book illustration gig, so I was stoked, and was afraid to ask for half up front as I was a bit naive and intimidated. I completed all the illustrations, met with the author, and she went wild over it. She said she would be in touch about payment and when the book will be published. Fast forward about 5 months, she finally reaches out to say that the book wasn't able to get published and that she is upset as she was looking forward to it. So I'm like, oh, that sucks, but I'm still gonna be paid, right? Nope, she wasn't going to pay me. I should have stood my ground and been adamant about getting paid. But I was a young artist and didn't want to burn a bridge with an accomplished author and professional, so I remained civil and chalked it up as a learning experience. I really should have cut my ties with this woman right then and there. Well, back in January, I was contacted to illustrate a political children's book for her. It wasn't really my kind of thing, but I agreed because I am now more experienced and not afraid to stand my ground and demand I get paid. The gig was $1,000 for 20 pages of artwork. Cool, but this time, I demanded half up front and the other half when I complete the drawings. She agrees and I get paid $500 cold hard buckaroonies. Awesome, this is going great so far. Or so I thought. I completed the 20 drawings, met up with her and the co-author, They went nuts over them, said they're perfect blah blah blah. I asked if anything needed to be changed and they said number. Cool. I was paid the rest of the $500. I thought this was a job well done and was glad I decided to give her another chance. Maybe the last book was just a fluke and she is actually good for her word. Nope. Fast forward to April. They need 4 additional pages done for the book. I said cool, that will be an additional $200. She was flabbergasted. Excuse me, we already paid you $1,000 and you agreed to do the artwork for this book. You cannot ask for more money. She paid me to do 20 pages for $1,000. That is $50 a page, which is a hell of a lot cheaper than almost every other children's book illustrator I know. So I explained that I needed to be compensated for these extra 4 pages. She said she has no more money to give, which is bullshit because I know she is loaded, and that without these 4 drawings we will not be able to complete the book. Again, stupid me, not wanting to burn a bridge with this well-known woman, obliged and decided to create the extra 4 pages. She was happy. Cool, whatever. I still got $1,000 and another publication under my belt. This, however, was not the end. In August she asked me to change 2 of the drawings I had already done. Now, remember I asked her back in January if anything needed to be changed and she said no, they're perfect. I was traveling during this time and wouldn't be able to complete them until October, and that I would only do them for $100. She, surprisingly, agreed to these stipulations. I come home, I get the artwork finished, and let her know it's done and tell her to please send over $50 before I email the artwork to her, as I had a feeling she wasn't going to pay me. I wait, and wait and wait and wait. No response. Until this evening. I got a text from her stating that she has not received my artwork and wondered where it was. I tell her I had completed it and was waiting on half up front before I sent it over to her. She freaked out on me and claimed that she was maybe going to pay me for the extra work, but it wasn't a definite maybe. She was maybe going to pay me for my work. I about lost my shit. She claimed I am unprofessional, is disappointed in me and that she thought she was doing a young artist a favor. I replied I don't do artwork with the promise of maybe getting paid. I then told her about all the previous times I was disrespected by her and felt as though I have been taken advantage of as a young artist. I told her I will no longer send over the artwork and for her not to worry about payment, and that our professional relationship ends here. I'm still shaking from anger and fear, as I'm afraid she can ruin my reputation among other authors and artists, but overall I'm glad I finally stood up for myself even though it took about 3 years. Edit. She also claimed that she was going to help propel my career as an artist. She knows so many authors and will recommend me to everyone. That was 3 years ago and I haven't gotten any business from her. I think she was just lying to me to guilt/pressure me into continuing to do free work for her. Thank you. Next. Backstory. I work at a high volume kitchen doing both prep and working line. I have some hearing loss in my left and wear headphones when I work, but only have one in my left ear, so it's easier for me to focus on hearing calls for needed items. We have the store owner, kitchen manager, and assistant kitchen manager. Every Sunday, one of the managers will make us breakfast. The kitchen manager has me make breakfast whenever it's his turn. I don't mind. I enjoy cooking. The story. Somewhere in the southern United States. About a week ago it was the AKM's turn to make breakfast. He had decided to make French toast. Morning shift was busy prepping away. About 10:30 AM or so the choosing beggar comes in to roll silverware. She's a bit of an older woman and a newer worker. She has been stepping on people's toes and really started to piss people off. As the AKM is putting the egg-soaked, bready goodness on the flat top, the CB comes up and asks the AKM, "What are you making for breakfast?" I could hear the whole interaction, even though as stated before, I have hearing loss, and I was also on the back prep line. AKM French toast. It'll be done in a few minutes. CB, very whiny voice. I don't like French toast. I want eggs instead. Myself and another prepper had stopped what we were doing and peeked around the corner to watch. AKM I'm not making eggs today. CB Ikato Pity makes eggs when she cooks. AKM, a little annoyed. I didn't plan on making them today. CB but I want to eat too. You should always make something I can eat. AKM, I could see the vein in his neck pulsing a bit. I'll see what I can do. CB walked back to dry stock to continue rolling silverware. The AKM walks past the other prepper and myself. I follow him into the walk-in. Me, what was that about? AKM, apparently, she doesn't like French toast. You know you don't have to give in, right? You guys make us breakfast out of kindness. You don't have to make us anything. AKM, I know. I don't feel like dealing with her today though. Me, fair enough. But you know this could lead to other demands, right? AKM, sighs. I know. We both walk out and he makes her eggs. He then calls everyone to grab food. As I'm walking away with my plate, I hear the following. CB, there isn't any salt or pepper in these eggs. AKM points to the shakers. There are the shakers. You can add however much you want. CB puts down the bowl of eggs. It doesn't taste the same. Will you remake them with salt and pepper added in? I share a glance with the AKM, telling him, I told you so with my eyes. He looks at the CB. AKM, no. I have to get started taking my on hand for the truck order. CB, but I'm hungry. AKM points to the eggs. I made you eggs. CB, but those are made wrong. AKM, finally annoyed enough, I didn't have to make those for you. I don't have to make breakfast for anyone. I did it to be nice. I'm not going to make them again. Now if you will excuse me, I have to get the order done. The AKM walks away as CB stands there with what can only be described as the surprised Pikachu face. Thankfully she no longer works for us, so no one has to deal with her entitled attitude anymore. Thank you. Next. So, my father left his house at the age of 18 to build his life. Note that it is very uncommon to leave home in Pakistan. He built his career up from basically nothing and he loves his family unconditionally, even neglecting me and my siblings for them at times. This includes his arsehole siblings who'd use any opportunity they get to scam some money out of my dad. His sister, the CB here, her husband died when her kids were young and my father basically bought them a house, sent them money every month so they could continue living. If he ever asked her to do a job, she'll start guilt tripping my dad that how can he leave his sister like that, and how hard it is for a single mother to raise children. Her son was shot dead and her other son accepted a Toyota Corolla in blood money. A Corolla is a big thing in Pakistan because of taxes and imports and low income. My dad's $24K yearly income was considered a huge amount in my country. My father bought them a Toyota Hilux as well. A fucking huge deal in my country, because she couldn't travel through the uneven roads in a Corolla and it hurt her back. Of course my dad refused at first, but she started guilt tripping him again and he, like a blind idiot for his siblings, gave them that too. This year, for my college, my dad had promised to get me a Corolla and we had made a deal as well. The news reached them and she came all the way to another province to meet my dad. Her requirement this time was a brand new car, several $1,000s expensive than the car I was getting, for her daughter that had to go to high school. Bear in mind that I traveled to my high school, 45 km away, in mediocre and shitty public transportation that Pakistan has, and she wants a brand new car to go like 5 kilometers away. My dad refused and she guilt tripped him again, going as far as shaming him in front of my dad's whole family, saying that he wants his widow sister to die in a slum. They are far richer than us at this point. My father finally kneeled and got her the car she wanted, in the color she wanted, but used. He couldn't get a new one as we're going through a very bad financial downfall and he basically spent the last of his savings on that car. 2 months later, her elder daughter is getting married and my father is specifically not invited because he bought them a used car that didn't even have a spare wheel. My father was very sad because of this. I even saw him sitting alone sobbing. After all he had done for them, this is how they get back at him. Dad was them outcasted by the whole family because she told them that my father asked her to pay back all the money he ever spent on them. He never did.